I want to begin this the way it truly lived inside me, not with the violence itself, but with the quiet way fear learned my name. There was a moment long before the first blow when my body knew something my mind refused to admit. I was standing in our kitchen late in the evening. The house smelled like burnt toast and dish soap. The radio was playing softly in the other room. Nothing was wrong. Nothing had happened. And yet my chest felt tight, like I had forgotten how to breathe properly. I remember holding a glass of water and realizing my hands were shaking. Not enough for anyone else to notice. Just enough for me to feel it. I stared at the water sloshing against the sides of the glass and thought, why am I nervous right now? He wasn't angry. He hadn't raised his voice. He was just existing in the same space as me. That was the first time I understood that fear doesn't always need a reason. Sometimes it's the reason. I used to believe love was something you worked through. Something you stayed loyal to even when it hurt. I grew up hearing that relationships weren't supposed to be easy, that commitment meant endurance. That if you loved someone, you didn't leave when things got uncomfortable. No one ever told me that love should never make you afraid to exist. When I think back to the beginning, it's almost painful how gentle everything seemed. He laughed easily back then. He held my hand in public. He told me I was safe with him, and I believed him because I wanted to. Because believing felt easier than questioning. Because I didn't yet know how dangerous hope could be. The first time he hit me, my brain went quiet. Not loud, not panicked, just empty. I remembered the sound more than the pain. A sharp crack that didn't belong in our home. For a split second, I thought maybe I imagined it. Maybe my body misunderstood what just happened. Then I saw his face. Shocked, horrified, almost afraid of himself. He dropped to his knees. He cried. He apologized over and over again. He said he didn't know what came over him. He said it would never happen again. He said he loved me more than anything, and I did something that would shape the rest of my life for years. I believed him, not because I was weak, but because I loved him. Because I wanted the man I fell in love with to still exist somewhere inside the person who hurt me. That night, I cleaned up the mess. I wiped away the evidence. I told myself it was a mistake. I told myself everyone has breaking points. I told myself this didn't define him. I told myself this didn't define us. I didn't know that I had just crossed a line that would become harder and harder to find my way back from. After that, nothing felt the same, but everything pretended to be. We went to family gatherings. We laughed with friends. We posted photos where we looked happy. He was kind in public, attentive, charming. People loved him. People admired us. And that made me doubt myself more than anything else. Because when someone can be so good in front of others, you start wondering if the problem is you. The violence didn't come every day. That's the part people don't understand. There were long stretches of calm, days where he cooked dinner, nights where he held me like he used to, moments where I thought, see, it was just a phase. We're okay now. Those moments were the most confusing of all, because when someone hurts you and then becomes gentle again, your heart clings to the gentleness like proof that the pain wasn't real, or that it wasn't that bad, or that it won't happen again. I started adjusting myself without realizing it. I learned how to read the room the second he walked in. I learned the sound of his keys, the weight of his footsteps, the way the air changed when he was irritated. I learned how to speak carefully, how to choose my words like they were fragile objects. I stopped bringing up things that bothered me. I stopped disagreeing. I stopped expressing opinions that might challenge him. Not because I didn't have them, but because peace felt safer than honesty. I became smaller, quieter, more agreeable. I told myself this was what compromise looked like. The bruises didn't always show. When they did, I learned how to hide them. Long sleeves, makeup, excuses. I became skilled at pretending nothing was wrong. Skilled at smiling through conversations while my body ached. Skilled at lying without saying a word. But the bruises were never the hardest part. The hardest part was the constant fear. Fear of triggering him. Fear of saying the wrong thing. Fear of becoming the reason he lost control again. I began to feel like my existence needed to be justified. Like I had to earn my safety by being perfect, calm, undemanding, invisible when necessary. People would ask how I was doing, and I would say fine. They would comment on how lucky I was, how strong our relationship seemed. And I would nod, because correcting them felt impossible. How do you explain that the person who says they love you is also the person you're most afraid of? How do you explain that leaving feels more dangerous than staying? He promised it would never happen again more times than I can count. Sometimes he meant it. Sometimes he believed it. And for a while, things would improve. He would be attentive, apologetic, loving. Those were the moments that kept me trapped. Because every time things got better, I thought this time is different. This time we've learned. This time love wins. But violence doesn't disappear. It waits. It learns your patterns. It grows quieter before it grows louder. The night everything changed was almost ordinary. No argument. No shouting. Just a tension I couldn't name. A look in his eyes that felt unfamiliar, cold, distant, like something had shut off. I remember feeling detached from my body as it happened, like I was watching my life from far away. I remember thinking, this could kill me. Not in a dramatic way, not all at once, but slowly, completely. Afterward, I lay on the floor staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound of my own breathing. The room felt enormous and empty, and for the first time, a thought cut through the fog with terrifying clarity. If I stay, I will lose myself entirely. If I stay, this will not end well. If I stay, love will not save me. That was the night something inside me shifted. Not loudly, not bravely, just honestly. I finally admitted to myself that love should never hurt like this. Not once, not ever. Leaving wasn't dramatic. It wasn't empowering. It was quiet and slow and full of fear. I packed when he wasn't home. I folded my clothes carefully, like making too much noise might bring him back early. My hands shook so badly I dropped things. I kept stopping, listening, waiting. I didn't feel strong. I felt sick with terror. I didn't leave because I stopped loving him. That's the part people get wrong. I left because loving him was costing me my safety, my identity, my future. Walking out that door felt like stepping into the unknown without a map. I had no idea who I would be without him. No idea how I would survive on my own. No idea if I was making the right choice. I only knew that staying would destroy me. Healing didn't arrive like a sunrise. It came in fragments, in quiet moments, in days where I felt okay followed by nights where everything came rushing back. Trauma doesn't leave politely. It lingers in your body, in the way your heart races at raised voices, in the way your muscles tense without permission. There were days I missed him, and that confused me deeply. But missing someone doesn't mean they were good for you. It means you shared a life. It means you're human. Slowly, I began to feel something I hadn't felt in a long time. Safety, not excitement. Not intensity, just safety, the kind that lets you sleep, the kind that doesn't ask you to earn it. I started remembering who I was before I learned to be afraid. I laughed again. Not carefully, fully. I spoke without rehearsing my words first. I took up space, and with that came grief. Grief for the years I lost. Grief for the version of myself who thought endurance was love. Grief for the future I imagined that never existed. But there was relief too. Deep, quiet relief. If you're listening to this and something inside you feels tight, I want you to know this. You are not weak for staying. You are not foolish for loving. You are not responsible for someone else's violence. Abuse is not love with rough edges. It is not passion. It is not a misunderstanding. And it is never your fault. Sometimes the bravest thing you will ever do is choose yourself when everything inside you is screaming not to. Sometimes survival is the most radical act of self-love. If this story felt personal, if it echoed something you haven't been able to say out loud, you are not alone. Stories like this exist because so many people have lived them quietly. If you want more stories that explore the unseen sides of love, loss, survival, and healing, consider subscribing to this channel. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it, and if you feel safe, leave a comment. Your words might be the ones that remind someone else they're not invisible. I'll leave you with this. Sometimes survival is the bravest love story you'll ever tell.